Welcome to Train of African Folktales, where true life stories meet timeless African wisdom. Here, every tale is a journey filled with morals, mystery, and the heartbeat of our heritage. Sit back, listen closely, and let the story carry you. Let me tell you the story of a girl named Blessing. It's not just any kind of story. It's the kind of story that makes you smile, makes you wonder, and maybe even makes you feel something deep inside your heart. A long time ago, not too long though, just some years back, there was a lovely couple, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. They were kind, gentle, and loved each other so much. But there was something missing in their lives. You see, they had been married for 15 whole years, and still, they had no baby. Every time they looked at each other, they would smile on the outside, but inside their hearts, they were crying. They wanted a child so badly. They tried everything. I mean everything. They went from one hospital to another. Different doctors, different places. And every single time, the doctors told them the same thing: you both are okay. You can have a child. That was the confusing part. If they were okay, then where was the baby? They took medicine, they ate special food and fruits, they even prayed and cried many nights, hoping and hoping that one day, God would bless them. And guess what? On their 16th wedding anniversary, something amazing happened. Something wonderful. Mrs. Johnson noticed something was different in her body. Her steps felt lighter. Her stomach was acting funny. So she went to the hospital, just to check. The doctor ran a test, smiled, and said, "Congratulations, Ma, you are pregnant." Mrs. Johnson screamed with joy. She couldn't believe it. Her eyes were full of tears, not sad tears, happy tears. She rushed home, her heart beating fast, full of excitement. When she got home, she quickly went into the kitchen. She wanted to surprise her husband. She made his favorite food, jollof rice with spicy grilled chicken, fried plantain, and a big glass of cold sobo drink. When Mr. Johnson came back from work, he was tired as usual. But the moment he stepped into the house and saw the bright smile on his wife's face, he was surprised. "What's making you so happy today?" he asked, dropping his bag. Mrs. Johnson laughed and said, "Come, just eat first. I made your favorite." He smiled, sat down, and began to eat. The food was delicious, and the sweet aroma filled the air. After he finished eating, Mrs. Johnson stood in front of him, held his hands, and said, "Sweetheart, the doctor told me I'm pregnant." Mr. Johnson's eyes widened. He stood up and hugged his wife tightly. "Are you serious?" he shouted. "Are you really pregnant?" She nodded with tears rolling down her cheeks. They hugged each other, spinning around in their small living room, laughing and crying at the same time. That night, they didn't sleep early. They thanked God, they dreamed of names, and they began to imagine what their baby would look like. 9 months later, on a bright sunny morning, Mrs. Johnson gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She had soft brown skin, tiny fingers, and a round face. They named her Blessing, because truly, that's what she was, a blessing from above. Now let me tell you something about this girl called Blessing. From the day she was born, her parents gave her everything. And I mean everything. They spoiled her with toys, clothes, food, gifts, anything she wanted, she got. If Blessing cried that she wanted chichi, that crunchy, sweet snack, her mother would run to the shop to get it, even if she had just eaten. If she said, "Daddy, I want meat pie," her father would buy too. The neighbors noticed it. They would shake their heads and say, "Mr. Johnson, you are spoiling this child, oh." But Mr. Johnson would always smile and say, "Leave her. When she grows up, she will become disciplined." Well, Blessing grew up all right, but not exactly the way they expected. She grew into a young lady, beautiful like her mother, with bright eyes and glowing skin. But there was one thing that never changed. Her love for food. I'm telling you, Blessing didn't just like food, she loved it. It was as if her heart danced to the sound of chewing. If you saw Blessing and her mouth was not moving, then something was wrong. She was always munching something: biscuits, chicken wings, fried yam, fried fish, chocolate, suya, even popcorn. And don't get me started on her love for pizza. Every night, no matter how full she was, she would order pizza and suya to complete her day. Inside her school bag, there were always snacks everywhere. In her room, under her pillow, even inside her shoe rack, you could find cookies, bubble gum, and sweets. Her best friend, Favor, always tried to warn her. Blessing, you eat too much. This is not how a lady should behave. But Blessing would laugh and say, nothing is wrong with me. Look at me, I'm fine, I'm beautiful, and I'm healthy. Let me enjoy myself. And so she did. Every day, every night, food was her best friend. Now, it happened on a sunny Saturday afternoon, one of those days when everyone wants to dress up and go out for fun. One of Blessing's friends was celebrating her birthday. The girl had planned everything nicely, the decorations were colorful, the balloons were shiny, and the music was loud and exciting. Blessing dressed beautifully for the occasion. She wore a shiny purple dress that hugged her body tightly. Her shoes sparkled with glitter, and her hair was styled with long curls that bounced as she walked. She added a little makeup and sprayed her favorite perfume. I must look good, she said to herself. After all, it's a party. When she got to the birthday hall, people were already there, dancing, laughing, and taking pictures. As soon as the birthday girl saw Blessing, she hugged her and they both danced together for a while. The music was loud, the lights were flashing, and the party was just getting started. After some dancing, Blessing went to sit down. Her cheeks were hot, and she used a tissue to wipe her face. As she looked around the hall, something suddenly caught her attention. From the far corner of the hall, some caterers, those people that serve food at parties, began to bring in trays. Not just any kind of trays, but big, shiny trays filled with food. And not just any food, delicious food. Blessing's eyes locked onto them like magnets. Fried chicken, golden and crispy. Fried rice and jollof rice, steaming with spicy aroma. A big bowl of vegetable soup bubbling with meat, and beside it was a neat mountain of soft, smooth pounded yam. Her eyes widened. Then she saw more. There were trays filled with small chops, meat pie, shawarma, donuts, fish rolls, puff. And just beside them was a table stacked with drinks, bottles of cold minerals and chilled fruit wine. At the very end, a giant birthday cake stood like a king, decorated with pink and white icing, with the words "Happy Birthday, my friend" written in big letters. Blessing tried to focus on the dancing and the music, but it was too hard. Her eyes kept going back to the food. Her stomach rumbled even though she had eaten just before coming. It's a birthday party, she whispered to herself, licking her lips. The food is meant to be eaten. She stood up and walked straight to the food table, trying not to look too excited. She picked up a shawarma and took a big bite. It was hot, spicy, and sweet, just the way she liked it. Next, she grabbed 2 pieces of fried chicken, chewing joyfully as the crispy skin crunched in her mouth. Then she took a full plate of jollof rice, added some fried plantain, and sat down to eat. 1 plate became 2, then 3. She returned for the small chops. 1 meat pie. 2 puff. 1 fish roll. She even took some donuts and chewed them slowly, smiling to herself. Blessing's face was full of joy, like a child in a candy store. But slowly, people began to notice her. They watched as she kept eating, going back and forth, collecting more and more. Some guests whispered to each other. "Isn't that the 4th time she's going for food?" someone said. Another replied, "Look how tight her dress is, won't she burst it?" Then a man, maybe in his late 40s, walked up to her kindly and said, "My dear, this is too much. You should slow down a bit. That dress you're wearing is already too tight. Please, don't overeat." Blessing smiled and waved him off. "Don't worry, sir. I know my way. This is a birthday party, and the food is delicious. Let me enjoy myself." The man shook his head and walked away. Blessing continued. She moved to the cake table, cut a big slice for herself even before the birthday girl could officially cut the cake. She then took a full plate of vegetable soup and pounded yam, sat down, and ate every single bite. After that, she drank a bottle of wine. Then she opened a bottle of minerals and gulped it down quickly. Finally, the time came for the birthday girl to cut her cake officially. Everyone clapped and gathered around. Music played loudly again, and people began to cheer. Blessing, full of energy, or so she thought, rushed up to the stage to dance with her friend again. She waved her hands in the air, danced in circles, laughing and shouting. But then, something strange happened. Her smile slowly faded. She stopped dancing. She touched her stomach. Then, without warning, she began to vomit right there on the dance floor. Thick, smelly food poured from her mouth onto her dress and shoes. Everyone gasped in shock. The music stopped immediately. The room went silent for a second. Then people started shouting, "Ah! She's vomiting." Before anyone could even reach her, Blessing's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed to the ground, unconscious. "Somebody help her," someone screamed. "Call the ambulance." The birthday party turned into chaos. Guests were running around, some trying to hold her up, others looking for water. A few people started crying. The birthday girl held her mouth in fear. The caterers dropped their trays. The hall that was full of joy and dancing just moments ago now looked like a hospital emergency room. Nobody knew what was happening to Blessing. Nobody knew if she would wake up. The moment Blessing collapsed on the dance floor, everything became a blur. Her eyes had closed, her body was still, and people panicked. Some were shouting. Some were trying to fan her. Some just stood frozen, unsure of what to do. "Call an ambulance," someone yelled again. One of her friends quickly brought out her phone and dialed. Another ran outside to wave down any nearby help. Everyone around Blessing was praying she would wake up, but she didn't move an inch. A few minutes later, the sound of sirens filled the air. The ambulance arrived, and two men in uniforms rushed in with a stretcher. Carefully, they lifted Blessing, still unconscious, her once beautiful purple dress now stained with food and sweat, and her corset still tightly wrapped around her stomach. She was rushed straight to the emergency ward in the nearest hospital. Inside the hospital, doctors and nurses quickly gathered around her. Machines beeped. Lights flashed. The head doctor examined her while nurses checked her breathing and heartbeat. But then, something strange appeared on the doctor's face, a deep frown. He touched her stomach gently, then turned to his team. "This corset is too tight," he said firmly. "It's stopping the food from passing through her intestines. And with the amount of food she ate, her body couldn't take it." The nurses looked at one another. "It's worse than I thought," the doctor continued. "Her intestines are showing signs of rupture. We need to operate immediately to save her life." They rushed her into the operating theater. Everything moved fast: gloves, scissors, lights, masks. The doctor's face was serious. "This is going to be a long night," he muttered. Back at the waiting room, Blessing's friends paced the floor, worried and anxious. Then, not long after, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson arrived. When they heard the news, Mrs. Johnson, whose name was Jennifer, let out a loud cry and almost fainted. "My daughter! My baby girl," she cried, her eyes red and full of tears. "This is all my fault. If only we had listened when the neighbors warned us. If only we hadn't spoiled her so much." Mr. Johnson held his wife tightly. His face looked pale. His voice was quiet but full of pain. "We can't lose her," he whispered. "We just can't." The operation went on for hours. The doctors worked carefully, removing the tight corset, cleaning the affected parts of her intestine, and repairing the damaged areas. It was a delicate surgery, but they didn't give up. Finally, the doctor came out, tired but smiling slightly. "She's stable now," he said. "We were able to save her. But it will take time, she has a long road to recovery." Jennifer and Johnson fell to their knees, thanking God. Her friends hugged each other, tears falling freely. Days turned into weeks. Blessing was moved from emergency care to a quiet hospital room. She lay there, weak but alive. Tubes in her arm, bandages on her stomach, and soft pillows around her. Every day, a nurse came in to feed her small amounts of food. She couldn't eat like before. Even when she wanted to, her body simply wouldn't allow it. At first, Blessing didn't say much. She just stared at the white ceiling, thinking. Remembering. Then one morning, a nurse gave her a mirror. Blessing looked at herself. Her cheeks were no longer chubby. Her arms looked thinner. Her eyes looked tired but clearer. And in that moment, something changed in her heart. She remembered the man at the party who warned her. She remembered all the food she had forced into her mouth. She remembered the pain. The fall. The vomit. The fear. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not because of pain this time, but because she finally understood. She stayed in the hospital for 3 long months. Her parents never left her side. Her mom cooked her healthy food. Her dad read her funny stories to make her smile. And her friends? They came often, bringing cards and flowers and warm hugs. Slowly, Blessing began to walk again. She learned to eat in small portions. She listened to the doctor's advice. No more tight clothes. No more corsets. And definitely no more overeating. When she was finally discharged, she stepped out of the hospital, breathing in the fresh air like it was gold. From that day forward, Blessing changed. She started eating healthy meals, fruits, vegetables, and balanced food. She joined a fitness club and even helped other young girls learn about self-care and moderation. Whenever she saw a party with lots of food, she smiled politely, took a small portion, and walked away. And the purple corset dress? She never wore it again. She kept it in a box in her room as a reminder. A reminder of how close she came to losing her life because of one bad decision. From that day on, Blessing became not just a beautiful girl, but a wise one. And everyone who knew her could see the difference, not just in her body, but in her heart. Years passed, and Blessing's life became a living testimony. She finished school, opened a small healthy food cafe, and named it Balance Bites. Young girls and even adults came there, not just to eat, but to hear her story. She often stood before them and said with a smile, "I almost lost my life because I couldn't say no to food. But God gave me a second chance, and I won't waste it." Her parents were proud, her friends were inspired, and the once spoiled girl became a voice of wisdom in her community. Blessing no longer chased after food. Now, she chased after purpose. My dear listener, this is how Blessing turned her pain into power, and her appetite into a message the world would never forget. What did you learn from Blessing's story? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing stories. See you in the next episode.